If there is one thing that the Justice League has, it's superheroes who take superheroing seriously. Superman is fighting for truth and justice. Batman is the knight. Wonder Woman is protecting the world. There has to be someone in that group that can take a moment and realize how awesome it is to be a superhero. That role generally goes to the fifth Beatle of DC's Holy Trinity, the fastest man alive, the Flash. Sure, he has a tragic backstory like a proper superhero, and sure, his one superpower is 1/5 of Superman's raft of powers, but it's all in how you use it. But just because he's the affable one doesn't mean that sometimes he can't be as big a jerk as the big guys. Let's take a look at some of the Flash's worst moments. Being a parent in the world of comics is almost as lethal as being a mom in a Disney movie. Most of the time, you're dead before the story even starts. Barry Allen is no exception to this rule. Barry Allen's mother was killed when he was young, and while that doesn't set him on a globe-trotting adventure where he learns various detective skills and how to fight, it is intrinsically tied to his superpowered alter ego. One of the Flash's main villains is a superfan from the future who turns out to have to go back in time to kill the Flash's mom so that the Flash will become the Flash, and Eobard Thawne can become the Reverse Flash, because time travel is complicated. But if you're a superhero whose superpower side effect is time travel, how permanent does that tragic backstory have to be? Well, despite knowing the hassles of time travel and unintended consequences, the Flash went back and saved his mom. In every rendition of this story, from the original comic book run that introduced the New 52 to the WB Arrowverse, where Barry's shenanigans ended up changing things like Diggle's child from a girl to a boy. Despite nearly torquing the entire universe, Flash still finds an excuse to time travel now and then. For DC Comics, The Flash was the introduction to the whole idea of a multiverse. Slipping through time isn't the only side effect of being crazy fast. It turns out you can also slip into alternate realities. Sometimes alternate realities are just a way to try a new character or update out, or explore an interesting question raised by the main timeline hero. Sometimes they exist to act as a justification for a super cool video game where all the heroes and villains of DC Comics are in a fighting game. Enter Injustice: Gods Among Us. Written originally as a digital comic to promote the game, it eventually made its way to print. In it, we find out why you don't wander out of your arch circle. Joker kills Superman's family, and that means that Superman does exactly what everyone is afraid Superman might do. Go nuts and take over the world, because who is gonna stop him? Well, Batman, naturally. I mean, we all knew it was gonna be Batman. Certainly the affable Barry Allen wouldn't go for that whole one-world government, right? Nope, he's on board and even goes to fight Aquaman when the Wrong Dimensions Aquaman decides not to sign the peace treaty aligning with Superman. There's generally a rule among superheroes, and that is, don't kill. Whether it's an artifact of the Comics Code Authority that set a list of self-imposed standards to avoid being censored, or just it being how the superhero sets themselves apart from their enemy, it's a pretty common code. That's especially true as the superhero's superpowers get more powerful. It can be a hassle, since the world of superheroes seem to have a revolving door for supervillains. Arkham Asylum alone can't seem to keep an inmate for longer than a few months at a time. Given enough chances, a villain can really make a permanent mark and get at someone the hero loves. Like Kid Flash and Future Flash Wally West. In Flash Annual number 3, Wally was killed and Flash decides to see what would happen if he just went and killed his enemies to begin with. Back to the cosmic treadmill and dinking around with time again. Oh yeah, he time travels by going on a treadmill. He also got his powers from a lightning bolt, so... First stop on Barry's What If I Was More Like the Punisher tour is Gorilla Grodd, the super intelligent leader of Gorilla City. Flash uses his vibrating powers to place a small bomb inside Grodd during a fight. That is kinda grim. As the Flash would tell you, speed is important. Take a moment to speed on over to that subscribe button and hit the notification bell. And if you're on mobile, make sure you turn on your notifications in the YouTube settings. That way, the latest videos will flash into your inbox. Get it? Yeah, you get it. not everyone has a theme to their rogues gallery. Spider-Man doesn't fight a bunch of other arachnid-themed villains, Doc Ock aside. But when it comes to the Flash, a lot of his enemies also happen to be people who are super fast. Professor Zoom, the Reverse Flash, Black Flash, Godspeed, and Savitar. Godspeed. I get it now. Sure, not all of Flash's foes are fast, but a lot of his big ones are. Savitar got his super speed the traditional way, a lightning bolt during a supersonic aircraft test. Makes you wonder if Ben Franklin was hiding his speed powers from the other founding fathers. Savitar is late to the Speedster game, but brings with it a lot of new powers. The Flash and his go-fast friends and foes are not just fast, they're products of a semi-sentient energy known as the Speed Force that helps grant powers like time and reality skipping. Savitar added a few items to that list like a null inertia force field and the ability to give people and things kinetic energy. Like a lot of the go-fast foes, Savitar ends up back in the Speed Force. But when he returns, he also encounters the Flash, who disintegrates him in Flash Rebirth number 1. Turns out, it was the result of a curse set by Professor Zoom. Did we mention that time travel can be a tricky thing? Like the case of Bart Allen, who was raised in accelerated time so that while 2 years went by for us who travel through time at the speed of 1 hour for every hour, Bart came through appearing 15 years old. Bart, of course, is part of the Allen clan, but he also had some Thawne in him. Thaddeus Thawne thought this would be enough to recruit him to Team Thawne. When it wasn't, he approached the problem in a true Flash villain manner. If Bart's development was sped up, he'd make a new speedster out of Bart and Thawne DNA that was slowed down. This became Thaddeus Thawne II, Inertia. Eventually, Inertia killed Bart, but when Wally West came back, he contrived a dark punishment for Inertia. He slowed his time down to essentially a living statue. His brain kept moving normally, but it would take 1,000 years to blink. Then, to rub salt in that wound, he placed the Inertia statue in the Flash Museum facing the statues of Bart Allen. And that is dark. Sometimes when the Flash is being a jerk, he really gets on a roll. Fresh off planting a bomb in Grodd, Flash goes about fixing the rest of the mistakes of his past. The last thing on the list is to fix the giant hole in the Speed Force that both started the mess and was made worse by Barry's desire to fix things. So, to fix the hole he made, he needs Speed Force energy. So this Flash from the future grabs a Flash from the past and is going to kill him to use the excess energy to fix the Speed Force. Except the Speed Force doesn't like having two of the same dude in the same time and place. While future Barry tries to kill past Barry, which won't kill future Barry in the process because he's messed around so much that he's out of time, Wally shows up to tell the Barrys they're crazy. Naturally, this results in past Barry accidentally killing Wally West and fixing the hole. The Flash can't have nice things. Barry Allen loves Iris West like Clark Kent loves Lois Lane and Peter Parker loves MJ. It's a constant of the comic book universe. During the big shakeup that starts the Rebirth saga, the Flash fam gets a bit of a reset and some of the dials get set back. One of those dials is Iris West knowing that the love of her life is also the fastest man alive. So we all know the routine. Superhero hides their superhero self from a close loved one to protect them, but all that secrecy and sudden disappearances and superpowered weirdos trying to kill the superhero in hiding starts to become a strain on the relationship. All the worse when we know that not only is Iris going to be okay with Barry's superhero extracurriculars, but also that Barry sneaking around is actually hurting her. But then, a Barry did kill a Wally at one point, so it's not the worst thing he's done to a West. After Elongated Man's significant other Sue Dibney is killed, it's revealed that the Justice League has been using a bit of a morally gray fix for when things get a little heavy in the consequences column. Mrs. Dibney had been attacked before by Dr. Light, and it was, to say the least, particularly bad. The Justice League members at the time tried to decide what to do with Dr. Light. With Zatanna on the team, the option was put on the table to essentially wipe Dr. Light's mind, essentially lobotomizing him. Being of the hero persuasion, not everyone is on board with this idea. It all comes down to Barry, who is the swing vote that sends Dr. Light into Drool Cup Town. Of course, if they had waited a minute, Batman would have restored the tie. Instead, Bats tried to stop the whole process, so they wiped his mind too. Naturally, this goes all kinds of wrong and leads to a proper multiple Earths crisis. Like we said, Barry Allen loves Iris West, but The Flash is a long-running comic that has reshuffled itself. Like, a lot. Once upon a time, Barry Allen loved Iris West, and then the Reverse Flash took that from him. But regular Flash didn't know that it was his superfan turned super foe, Eobard Thawne. Eventually, Barry was able to move on, find someone new. That someone was Fiona Webb. Fiona and Barry decided to get married, and because Thawne can't let Barry have happiness, he decides to go about providing an encore to his Iris West performance by killing her too. When you find something you're good at, so they say. Barry had already seen the end of this movie though, and wasn't eager to have it all happen again. In a fit of emotion, Barry catches the Reverse Flash and snaps his neck, killing him. Turns out that Central City wasn't keen on their superhero just killing people and puts the Flash on trial. After being found guilty, Barry bounces to another timeline because consequences are for people who can't skip realities. Remember when we talked about Barry being the deciding vote to wipe the mind of a bad guy? Remember how that also went all kinds of bad when the truth came out? Yeah, well, it's also good to remember that a lot of the things on this list reflect that the Flash doesn't really learn from his mistakes that often. Enter the supervillain, the Top. There are only so many villains you can have that run fast before there has to be something else. Like spinning really fast. Yep, the Top's superpower is spinning like a top. Unlike the rest of us who turn into unbalanced, staggering partygoers in a gimmicky relay race when we spin in place really fast, spinning in place really fast turns the Top into an evil genius, because why not? It's exactly that evil genius-ness that becomes a problem for Barry. Unlike other villains who have themes or goals, the Top just likes to cause suffering. So he goes back to Zatanna and has her put her thumb on the scale that is the Top's personality. Removing all the dark impulses, the Top uses his spinning-enhanced intelligence for good. Until, of course, he finds out and brings himself to an end. Way to go, Barry. One of the lessons we're going to learn here is that you do not want to get on Wally West's bad side. While Barry Allen can't resist trying to edit his past, when Wally gets mad, he gets downright poetic when it comes to his wrath. Enter a newly minted Professor Zoom who has taken out all the stops to menace the Wally West Flash in the Jeff Johns story Blitz. After a series of battles, Zoom gets his darkest victory when he causes a sonic boom near West's pregnant wife Linda. The boom causes complications with the pregnancy, ending it. Zoom had broken the cosmic treadmill and was instead free-running through time, which of course causes damage to the forces that allow it. That results in the opening rift in the time stream that Wally pushes Zoom into. This puts Zoom in a state of suspended animation, allowing him to be housed at Iron Heights, but it gets darker. Zoom is caught in his own worst memory that he gets to live over and over again. When it comes to poetic punishment, Wally West really does seem to have the touch. So mind-wiping the Top and Dr. Light didn't really work out. Surely that would be the last we'd hear of that kind of thing, right? Of course, those mind wipes were authorized by Barry Allen. Wally West is more the poetic punishment kiss the chick you're into kind of jerk. Well, he's got a mind wipe tale that makes Barry look tame. Wally has to find a way to up the ante for his mentor after all. He does that by taking the whole mind wipe act global. In the aftermath of Zoom and Linda West and his future children, West takes off to do some deep thinking. While visiting Valhalla Cemetery, he gets a visit from Barry Allen through a non-broken cosmic treadmill and Hal Jordan in his new gig as the Spectre. During his time, Wally West's identity as the Flash had become widely known as well as that time's Barry Allen. With the consequences of superheroism having been visited on his wife, West started to appreciate the advantage of a secret identity. So the Spectre grants his wish and wipes everyone's memory of Wally West as the Flash. That's everyone, including Wally. Whoops. Those are some of the times that the Flash was less than a nice guy. With a character as long-lived as the Flash, there are plenty of other times. What ones did we miss that would make you look sideways at the fastest man alive? Let us know in the comments, and while you're at it, why not subscribe and ring the notification bell? That way, if the Flash wipes your mind, you'll still get the latest videos in your inbox. Thanks for watching.